And just in a moment, the Lord's like, I've been with you every day so far, and I'm going to continue to be with you every single day and help you raise Enid. And so,
Okay, let's move on to the topic of motherhood. We have another mother on the show. We love the mothers.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your birth story and how it's been being a mother these last 7 months?
Buckle up, because I have a wild story. The actual birth was great, but it was after. Okay. So the actual birth went really well. So you hear like all these stories of like having an epidural, not having an epidural, having a home birth, giving in the hospital. Well, I hate pain. And once, like when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I'm going to get that epidural. Like I already know. So I was like, yeah, I definitely like want to give birth in the hospital and everything. And so I basically was full term. I was like 40 weeks and 2 days, and so I got induced. I know everyone has different opinions on it, but we had a lot of peace about me getting induced, and even like my mother-in-law was like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And so we just felt like about be like, okay, I'm gonna get induced. So I remember I went in. So he was born March 17th. So we went in the day before at 5 p.m. It was a Wednesday. And so basically, we're getting into all the details. So first, they have to like soften your cervix. And so they had to give me a medicine that would soften my cervix. I think I was already dilated to like 1 centimeter. And the nurse, I was there overnight. So she would give it like 3 doses, like every 4 hours. And so she gave me the first dose, and I was like, fine. I was like, okay, it feels like period cramps, like mild period cramps, like I'm good. And then she gave me the second dose, and I don't think this medicine is really supposed to like create contractions. Like you have Pitocin that will create contractions, and they were gonna give that to me in the morning. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, this medicine was giving me like these crazy contractions, and I was in so much pain. I feel like my husband Andrew felt so bad for me. And they're like, rest, because like sleep, rest, like you're gonna have a hard day tomorrow. And I was in so much pain, like I literally could not sleep. And the nurse came in and gave me the third dose, I think, if I remember. And I really just like wanted the epidural, but for some reason in my mind, I felt like, oh, I need to stick it out to the morning and then get it in the morning. I think at this point it's like 4 a.m. and I don't know what it's called. I don't know what all these medicines are called. But there's a medicine like pain relief, but it kind of just like takes the edge off. And to give a backstory, like I've never drank, so I don't know what being drunk feels like. And as she's like, I was like, yeah, I'll take this pain medicine and then go from there. And as she's inserting it like into my IV, she was like, it's gonna feel like you're drunk. And I was like, great, I've never felt like that before. And so, like I felt like I opened my eyes and the room was spinning. And so I just closed my eyes. It helped for literally 5 minutes. And then after that, I was still in pain. But I still felt like the room was spinning. And so I just yeah, I know. So I just kept my eyes closed, and eventually it wore off. I felt a little loopy, but it was really weird. And I was like, never again. So I know now for the future, like when I have another baby, I'm definitely not getting that. And so I told her, I remember, I was like, I definitely want that epidural. And it was like getting to 6 a.m. And then also you have to like go through a bag of fluids. I don't know all the science behind it, but you have to go through a bag of fluids before you can get an epidural. So I did that. And I think I remember telling her like, hey, I'm in a lot of pain. And I think she was like, I think because I had been on my side, and she was like, oh, just like switch your position or whatever. And that obviously like wasn't working. And so yeah. I remember the anesthesiologist came in, and also they tell your husband or partner or whoever is in there with you to leave the room. And I think while you get the epidural, I think it's because they will. What?
You're sounding a little like muffled a little bit.
You hear me? Hello, testing.
Not to me. Oh, okay. Keep going.
Continue. Okay. So when you're getting the epidural, they tell your partner or husband or whoever is with you to leave the room, and I'm pretty sure it's because they would probably faint because it's just not a pretty sight. So I'm like bending over, exceed to bend over. I'm like hugging my nurse, and she's looking at the contraction tracker. She's like, "Yeah, you're having contractions like every minute or two." And I was, "Yeah, I told you." So I get the epidural. And for me, it was magic. Like, I wasn't in any pain anymore. I could finally sleep. And the new nurse came in, because it was like 7 a.m. at this point. And she, like, introduced herself. I was able to sleep. And at some point, my doctor came in and broke my water. And I was at 3 centimeters. Like, I've heard some induction stories, like, take so long. But my birth went really fast. And so I progressed, really fast. And so she came in at like 7 and introduced herself. I was part of 3. And like I said, my doctor came in and broke my water. And at like 11:30, I was feeling pressure down there. And like it kind of feels like you have to go to the bathroom, but it's just like obviously like way more intense. And so I told her, and so I did like practice pushes with her. And like I'm introverted, and I'm a peacemaker. Yeah. And now I've learned my lesson to like call them when you need something, because that's what they're there for. But I would feel pressure down there, and then no one would be in there, and feel bad for calling them. And Andrew was like, "Babe, that's what they're there for." And so I finally like got over that, and so now especially I've gotten over that. But my nurse came in and like she did practice pushes with me, and I was basically almost at 10 centimeters. And I've heard stories of women pushing for like hours and hours, especially if it's their first baby. But I guess I was just determined to get him out like, because no. I pushed like several times with my nurse, and then they're waiting on my doctor to come. And I think they told me I pushed him out in 2 pushes with my doctor. So she wasn't even there for that long. And I pushed him out in 30 minutes. Wow. Which also, to note, he was almost 9 pounds. So I don't know how I did that. And they were amazed, like, "Is this your first baby?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I pushed him out in 30 minutes, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
That's something I keep hearing is like being able to push their baby out like 2 pushes, like that's what I prefer. Whenever it's time for me to push out my baby, I want like 2 pushes and done.
Definitely. And like I definitely like pushed for longer, but it was like with my nurse. And when my doctor came, it was 2 pushes apparently. But no, being a mom has been so good. I'm gonna tell like one last story for this question, but I had a really hard time like starting off. I was just like, obviously you're tired because you have a newborn, but I was just so tired and just felt foggy and off. I was feeling pains down there. And okay, so one night I was like 4 days postpartum. I was kind of feeling like shivery, like you having a fever, and I kind of just ignored it. I was on pain medicine, and so that was like breaking my fevers. Like in the morning I felt fine. It's like I'm just tired. And then that night, and we kept an eye on it and like told a doctor, an OB that was on call, they're like, just keep an eye on it, and if you get your fever again and it goes up it's like 104 or whatever, go to ER. And so we had my father-in-law come over that night to watch our baby so we could get some sleep, and that was like a major God thing, because I don't know what we would have done. So I'm 5 days postpartum, I go to sleep, and I wake up. And also, at first, we thought I had like a virus or a cold or something. And so my husband was sleeping in another room just to be safe, you know. And so I wake up at like 1 a.m. I'm so hot at this point. I'm shivering. I know I have a fever. And I remember I had to go to the bathroom. And I was so like hot and cold that I was like, if I get up right now, like I'm going to fall over. So I called my husband. He wakes up immediately, like, praise God. And I was like, Andrew, like, I have to go to the bathroom, but like I'm gonna fall over. So he goes to the bathroom, and I sit down after that, and he takes my temperature, and it's 104. So obviously he calls, and he already like made up his mind, like, I'm taking you to the ER. And then I felt like super nauseous, and I was like, I'm literally about to throw up right now. And I got sick. I also got that over with, unfortunately. And then he took my temperature again. It shot up to 107. Like, wow. I have never known anyone that has had that high of a fever. So obviously it was so serious. So my father-in-law was there taking care of our baby, which is like a lifesaver. And so he takes me to the hospital. It's like 3 a.m. at this point. And for some reason, it's like, oh, we're going to have to wait a long time. No, like, we got there, I told them what was going on, and within, like, a minute or two, they called me back. And, yeah, so we finally, like, got a room in the ER. They gave me fluids and some antibiotics. And basically, to sum it up, I was there, like, all day. My fever, like, was going down. It's like 101, 102, 101, 102. And then, let's see. Oh, and then my heart rate was, like, resting, was, like, 130s to 150s. It was crazy. Oh, wow. I think it was because I was so bad. I think it was because I was really hot, and I feel like they were really taking it seriously, and they, like, obviously kept checking in on me, and they kept giving me fluids and everything. But basically, since I was 5 days postpartum, they're like, we're gonna put you on the labor and delivery floor on the postpartum part of the floor, because after you have your baby, they, like, move you to another room on the postpartum part of the floor. So, like, we're gonna move you to the postpartum part of the floor. And they're waiting on a room, and apparently there was no rooms, and so many women were in labor, and I was like, well, I'm glad I already have my baby. And so we finally, at like 3, 4 in the afternoon, they're like, we found your room. So they moved me to the room, and I was there for like an hour or two, and we told the girl I was checking my vitals. We were like, her fever has been up and down like all day. And she comes in, it's like probably 7 o'clock, because it was like the night shift now. So the girl comes in, told her, and she checks my fever. It's shot up to almost 107 again. I think it was like 106.9 or something. She freaks out, and then all of a sudden, there's like, Andrew counted, there was like 15 people in the room that brought in a crash cart. Oh, geez. I was like, you see this on like Grey's Anatomy and stuff. Yeah. I was kind of freaking out. And so they basically felt like they like dunked me nice. They put so many cold rags and ice packs and ice all over me, and like gave me more medicine to bring down the fever, and gave me more fluids and everything. And ICU doctor like introduces herself, and she was like, we're gonna go take you to get a CT scan, which I had never had that done before. And then she's like, and after that, we're gonna take you to a floor that's a step below ICU. And I was like, oh my gosh. And obviously, I was out of it, but I was like anxious the entire time. And the nurse that had checked my temperature, she was like, let me know if you feel like you're about to have a seizure. And actually, my mom has epilepsy, so I've seen seizures, and I was like, oh my gosh, freaking out. But obviously, I did not have a seizure, so that was great.
That's good.
They take me to go get a CT scan. They take me to the floor, and I just like felt so bad. Like we were just like, me and Andrew were kind of like laughing at my situation, because they're like moving me to this floor, and there's like all these old men like struggling. Seemed like they're connected to all these things and like hanging by a thread. I remember we were in our room, and this other nurse in another room is yelling at this old man like, tell me what your name is. Where are you? And we were like, what is our life? So anyways, to sum it up, I was there for a couple days. They gave me fluids and a really strong IV antibiotic. Basically, what was wrong with me is I had a UTI that turned into a kidney infection, because my uterus is still really enlarged, and it was pressing against my right kidney, and it almost turned into sepsis. Jeez. That's what happened to me. And then eventually I got moved to the postpartum floor, and then I was able to go home. So I was there for like 5 days. Yeah, it was crazy. So I had a very rough start to postpartum life. Yeah. But no, so but being a mom.
Did all that happen from giving birth? Was that the cause of it?
I think I already had a UTI like before I gave birth. Gotcha. It just probably like progressed. And I feel like that's partly why we felt such peace about getting induced because we were like, what would have happened if I was still pregnant and I had that high of a fever? Like, we were talking to a friend later, and she had a friend that had like a really high fever like that, and her baby, she was still pregnant, and like her baby died. And so I'm like, I can't imagine like what would have happened. So I think I already had it. I've learned now postpartum, I think my body is just prone to UTIs. It's really annoying. But yeah, I think it was already like I had it like before I gave birth. It just got worse. But yeah, that was really long-winded. But that was like my whole start to my postpartum journey. It was really rough. I think like I knew like you don't sleep, but I love sleep. I'm someone I love 8 hours sleep. Like I'm a grandma. Like I remember like I loved being all cozy in bed and everything. And then I like quickly realized that you don't really sleep that much when they're a newborn. And so I think I had a hard start, but I am loving being a mom now. So I exclusively pumped for 4 months, and that was very rough on me. I feel like because of the hospital, it just like wrecked like breastfeeding, and so I pumped exclusively for 4 months, and my mental health was going down the drain. And I was like, I love Enid, I love providing milk for him, but I just can't do this anymore. So I decided at 4 months to stop. And weaning was not hard because I feel like my supply was just already dropping. And so I stopped, and my mental health like was way better. We're doing so good right now. Enid is 7 months. It's been so fun to like see all the milestones that he's hitting. Like right now, he's saying mama, which is so cute. He still doesn't completely sleep through the night, but he'll wake up like one time on a really good night. So being a mom, it's so fun. There are hard moments, and I definitely did have hard moments, but it's all good. Yeah, like I said, he's saying mama, he's rolling over, he's starting to crawl, which is crazy. I can't believe it. But being a mom is the best, and I love that like it's like such a sweet like challenge. Like me and my husband are responsible for teaching him about Jesus and all of that. And so I'm just excited to teach him about the Lord and see how he grows. And so, yeah, I am currently loving motherhood. He's eating solids. He loves food, by the way. Like, I hope he stays that way as a toddler, because I heard toddlers are picky eaters. But no, motherhood is really good.
That's awesome. It looks good on you, too.
Yeah. Thanks.
And any advice for women who may fear the idea of being a mother or feel like they aren't equipped to handle it?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I feel like I've heard before, like, some women are like, oh, I'm not ready to have kids, or I'll be ready in like a year or 2 years. And honestly, I feel like you just have to jump into it. And obviously, we weren't planning to have a baby, like right off the bat, but you have to jump in. And I feel like obviously for different seasons of our lives, the Lord equips us to help us to handle what life throws at us. And I feel like something that the Lord is really teaching me, that he's in front of me, he's behind me, he's equipping for everything that I need to take care of Enid. I remember, and so the Lord will equip you, and he'll equip your listeners if they want to, become moms one day. And it is hard, but it is so good. I remember one night I was rocking Enid to sleep, and he fell asleep, and I was going to put him in his crib, and just in a moment, the Lord's like, I've been with you every day so far, and I'm going to continue to be with you every single day and help you raise Enid. And so I feel like that's one big takeaway that I can give your listeners, is that the Lord will equip them. And even if it doesn't feel that way, like he's always there, and he's always going to guide you into all the decisions that you have to make as a mom.